Welcome back to the Red Dice Diaries, and this is my 20th RPGaDay 2015 video, and it's about my favourite horror RPG. Now, I thought about a lot of different horror RPGs that I enjoy, a lot of Cthulhu-themed RPGs, various other horror, a lot of World of Darkness games, and finally I settled on my favourite being this. It's an old World of Darkness game, Demon the Fallen. Now, it didn't have the best or most balanced rules system in the world. It uses the storyteller or World of Darkness system, the standard D10 dice pool mechanic, and it posits a world where the end times, the time of judgment, is upon us, and those abyssal spirits known as demons that were confined to a captivity in the abyss after the war for heaven was lost, after they followed Lucifer and were cast down for their temerity in daring to oppose the rightful order. The walls about the abyss have begun to crack and fracture as the end times, the time of judgment, approaches, and the huge archdukes of hell who remain trapped in the abyss, although they are too spiritually large to fit through these cracks, they dispatch their weaker servants who they have control over to head to these cracks where their smaller spirits can fit through them and slither back into our worlds. However, having been deprived of form for so long, they cannot manifest in their full infernal glory due to the faith-weak atmosphere of the World of Darkness in the modern times. So what they do is they look around for a human host that has somehow lost its soul, or that is on the verge of death, that has a personality that speaks to them. So, for instance, if you're playing a demon associated with water, you might find yourself drawn to the body of someone who has died via drowning. When the spirit first possesses the body, it can return it from the brink of death, restoring it to full health. However, now with the demonic spirit at the driving seat rather than its original personality, its original soul. However, as they actually possess these bodies, they find themselves assailed by images, memories, sensations from the life of the mortal body they possess. And what is created as a result is a composite being that possesses the physicality and many of the memories of the original human host, intertwined with this incredibly ancient and tormented spirit. Now, for some of the demons, the more monstrous ones and mostly NPCs, they possess evil people and continue in their evil ways. However, in some rare cases, for some demons, mostly assumed to be the player characters, they possess a truly good person, or a person with a spark of nobility or inner light, and this jars the demonic spirit out of their complacency, out of the torment and darkness into which they sunk during their many millennia of imprisonment in the abyss, and it effectively gives them a chance to reevaluate themselves and once again start reaching upwards for the glory of the angelic beings they once were before they were cast down. So, as I've said, this game doesn't have the most balanced rule system in the world. I've played in a lot of games of it, and some of the demonic powers are ridiculously powerful, and some of them are barely worth mentioning at all. I've got a first edition copy here. Even the title was a little bit shonky on this, and there were quite a few misprints in it. So what is it about this book that I really love? Well, it's difficult to define, but I've always found sort of ancient mythology concerning demons, etc., very interesting. And normally role-play games sort of shy away from the more sort of biblical representations of demons so as not to offend people. However, I thought the sort of sensitive way in which it was portrayed in Demon the Fallen was done in a really mature fashion, and it also creates an interesting game. But one of the things I really love about it is the vast scope it gives for playing around with different aspects of the old World of Darkness. For instance, if you want to play around with spirits and with ghosts and things like that, there's demons who can do that. If you want to craft things, make items of great power, there's a demon type that can do that. The only other game I found that comes close to allowing you as much freedom when it comes to what sort of game you want to play is Mage. However, to my mind, Demon is far easier, certainly for people who are less familiar with the World of Darkness, to actually get into. If you want to just run it on a level of, it takes place entirely in modern day, you're these spirits inside bodies, you can have as little or as much of the demonic memory and the demonic being come through as you want. If you just want to play it as people who are essentially their mortal hosts but with these demonic powers, you can do that. However, there is so much more in the game. Since these demons have been trapped in the abyss for uncounted millennia, save for when they have been summoned back to the world on brief occasions before by powerful mortal sorcerers, you can do numerous things. A friend of mine ran a game with a lot of different flashbacks throughout different periods of history. Sometimes we played our demon characters when they've been summoned, other times we played NPCs who even interacted with our demon characters or their servants. And against all of this backdrop of the personal horror as you try and struggle to become an angelic being again without falling prey to your base infernal urges, look, the horror of the true antagonists of the game, the earthbound, great powerful infernal spirits who were summoned by naive shaman, and who, rather than being bound into mortal forms, since what mortal form could contain their essence, were bound into specially prepared phylacteries or objects with nothing to spur them out of their monstrousness and out of their torment. They remain every inch the powerful infernal evil beings that they once were. However, as faith started to bleed out of the mortal world, they lapsed into a kind of hibernation or a forced sleep. But the onrushing of faith by the demons returning to the world in the time of judgment has once again awoken them, and they've started to reach out their tendrils, activating their cult members and seeking to bring the fallen, as the main protagonists of the game are called, into the war for the heavens on their side. And against all of that as well also lurks a question of what actually happened to Lucifer. He was not confined with the rest of the demons after the fall. Did he betray the fallen host somehow, or did God reserve a special torment for him? And all of this can be explored within the game. It also has the benefit that it was a limited game line, so I think there's only about less than a dozen or so books in the game line, and it's a very, very interesting game that has a lot of potential for personal horror, which is, I feel, what the World of Darkness does best. So if you get a chance to play Demon the Fallen, I highly recommend you give it a go. I very much enjoy it, and it's my favourite horror RPG. I hope to see you in the next RPG a Day video, and if you've enjoyed this one, that you'll click on the red dice to subscribe to my channel. Until I see you next time, take care and happy gaming.